Hey, what's up, everybody? Suburban Legend here, and today I'm going to tell you about the good side of video games. Chances are you're hearing a lot recently in the media and on the news about violent video games and violence in movies and even censoring music, everything like that, and why it should be done in order to make society a safer place and you know basically they say that violent video games is what's causing all this violence lately in our country. And I'm here to tell you today why that's not the case. First things first is that video games are a good thing, violent or otherwise, because they take people's time. They eliminate free time. Whenever I have some free time with nothing to do, I'll jump on and play some video games. It's a good thing. When I was younger, that wasn't always the case. My parents didn't let me play many video games growing up, and I went out and I did get into some trouble. And I'm not the type of person that you would think would go out and get into trouble or find myself in a stupid situation. But I was an honor student in high school, for crying out loud. But when you have a lot of free time, and especially if you're hanging out with your friends, bad stuff is going to happen from time to time. I mean, it's unavoidable. It's just what happens growing up. You get into bad situations. You do stupid things. A lot of the things I did, I'm not proud of. So basically, what I want to say is, when your parents want you to go out and hang out with your friends all the time, it's not always a good thing. I'm not saying I should stay home and play video games all the time, but I'm just saying it's not always the answer to go outside and play with your friends, because sometimes you just get into bad situations sometimes. Another point I wanted to make is that we all know someone or have a friend that's a little aggressive, that always needs to be in on the action, that has no hesitation in anything, always the center of the action. People like this, they live for that edge, that adrenaline rush. They like living on the edge, essentially. And what I want to say is that you can actually get that adrenaline rush from video games. A lot of people don't realize, but if you're playing online with some friends and it's a close match and you win right at the end, it's like you just hit a buzzer beater at the end of a state championship basketball game. That's what you feel like. I mean, you get that adrenaline rush. And that's enough to crave that urge to cure that urge in some people. If you start passing laws to ban violent video games and movies, where are people going to get that excitement and that rush? They still need that. That's what they live off of. So they're going to go outside and go out on the town at night looking for an adrenaline rush. And when you have people like that out and about, bad stuff's going to happen either way. So the more you pass laws banning, action movies and violent video games, you're going to get that more. So it's not the solution to the problem. Speaking of problems and solutions, another thing we need to realize, and this goes against everything we've been taught growing up, but not every problem actually has a solution in the real world. I know this is crazy, but growing up, that's all you learn in school is solve the problem, solve the problem. Every problem has a solution. That's what we're taught. But that's not the way it actually works in the real world. And this drives me crazy because I wish I could fix everything. I wish I could pass a law that would completely cure the earth and rid us of all violence and bad things. But it's not that way. I mean, people are violent, and violence is going to happen. Also, for every good person in this world, there's a bad person. And whether you have a million laws in place or no laws in place, some people are just going to do bad things regardless. And it pains me to say this, and it pains me that I actually know this. I wish I would deny that fact and wish there was a solution to every problem. But that's the reality of today, is not every problem has a solution. You can't pass a piece of legislation that will cure human beings of our faults. I mean, it doesn't work that way. Another thing we need to realize is that, like I said, human beings have always been violent going back in the day. Spartans, they would raise their kids to be warriors and go fight in wars and kill people. Essentially, it was their sole purpose in life. Ancient Romans, they would take criminals, throw them in the arena together, and hey, fight it out to the death. Well, meanwhile, tens of thousands of people packed those arenas to watch. That's what people, for some reason, it's built into our DNA to enjoy violence, and we have this innate bloodlust. I don't know why it is, but it's there, and people need to realize that. What is safer? Me sitting in the comfort of my own living room playing a violent video game to get that urge and get that fix that I need, or going down to my local air-conditioned movie theater, watching a violent movie, or like they did back in the day and throw two criminals in the arena, watch them fight it out to the death. For some reason, people always will crave that. So if you start passing laws banning these violent video games or huge explosions and action movies, people are still going to need that. They need to see things like that for some reason, and they're going to go out and try and fulfill that urge elsewhere. And when they do go out elsewhere and try and get that adrenaline rush or feed that urge, that's when bad things happen. Not only for them, but for they endanger the lives of other people as well. So basically, violent video games are not all that bad. And another thing too is you can't shelter people from reality. I know it's bad to turn children onto violence at too young of an age, but it's also important. And parents are going to hate me for saying this, but it's important to expose your kid and your children to the real world. At some point in time, they're going to have to figure it out, what actually happens. They're going to have to know what actually happens during a war. When I was growing up, 9/11 happened and it was absolutely terrible. And the first thing I said, I was sitting in class at the time watching on television, the first thing I said is, someone's going to get an ass kicking. We're going to bomb someone. That's what I said. I'm so desensitized to the whole situation, and I think everyone said that at that point in time. But it's also important for us to know, you can't just say, oh yeah, we need to go out and bomb someone. I can't wait till we go to a war, and things like that are terrible to say. People need to see what actually happens in these wars and how lives and families are ruined and torn apart and things like that. And I'm not saying all violence is bad, but it's important for people to actually see what happens in the real world. So when it actually does happen, they can be prepared for it. That's the brutal truth. This has been Suburban Legend. Leave me any questions below in the comment section, and I'll try and answer everything. All right.